Yeah. So last class we were discussing up to measurement of power, measurement of high power VSWR. So from that we have a measurement of low VSWR, measurement of high VSWR. Yes or no? Voltage standing wave ratios. Fine, you need to remember voltage standing wave ratio is defined as the ratio of maximum voltage to minimum voltage. If you want to represent your voltage standing wave ratio in terms of a reflection coefficient means the ratio of reflected power to incident power. Okay, so based on this S value, you need to classify it again into two types: measurement of low power VSWR, and the second one is measurement of high power VSWR. Okay, now screen is visible. Yes. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Roll number 5, Siva.
Yes,
Hello.
sir. Yes, sir.
Ah, screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Right, fine. So today we are going to discussing about measurement of impedance. Measurement of impedance. So all these parameters are comes under microwave engineering measurements only. So because of that reason, in this PPT, we show in microwave engineering measurements. So we are going to presenting a PowerPoint presentation on microwave engineering measurements. So in this, now we are going to measuring the impedance value of a microwave engineer. So apart from magic T, we have two different methods for measuring of a impedance value. Apart from magic T, we have two different methods. One is using the slotted line and the other is using the reflectometer. Apart from the magic T, we have two different methods. One is using the slotted line and the other is using a reflectometer. So the impedance using slotted line first. So in this method, impedance is measured using slotted line and load impedance ZL. In this method, the impedance is measured using slotted line and the other and the other one is load impedance ZL. And by using this, we are going to determining V maximum and V minimum value. If you get it V maximum and V minimum value, what we will get it from that? We will get it VSWR, standing wave ratio value. Voltage standing wave ratio, VSWR. Right? So in this method, the measurement of impedance takes place in two steps. In this method, the measurement of impedance takes place in two steps. Step 1, determining V minimum using load impedance value ZL. Determining V minimum value. Determining V minimum value using load impedance ZL. Step 2, determining V minimum by short circuiting the load. Determining V minimum by short circuiting the load. So there, in the first step, using load impedance Z value, you need to determine the V minimum value. In the step 2, you need to short circuit the load. This means that without load, You need to determine the V minimum value. These two steps are using for measuring the impedance. Yes or no? Then you need to represent with a neat block diagram. So see in this. So what we discussed in the first point, impedance using the slotted line. So this is the measuring using slotted line, step 1. So in this, what you need to apply? So you need to apply here unknown load. Just see this one. So the step 1 is, step 1 what it indicates? It indicates that determining V minimum using under load impedance Z value. Under load impedance value ZL. Okay, so that only you are representing in this slide. Okay, so in this method the impedance is measured using slotted line and this load ZL, and by using this you need to find out the V minimum value and V maximum value. Fine, so everything is same as it is. Micro ISO, attenuator, here we have a crystal detector and power meter. So just here you need to add here, in the previous topics we have here termination, right? So here you need to apply unknown load, that is assume that ZL, that load value. Next, step 2. What is the step 2? Determining V minimum value by short circuiting. By short circuiting load. So here you need to write it shorted termination, or you need to represent like a short circuit. Everything is same as it is. So you need to short circuit the load or write down there termination. Then you need to find out what is the V minimum value and V maximum values. You need to remember in the step 1, determining V minimum by using the load impedance value ZL. Coming to step 2, impedance measurement using slotted line only by short circuiting the load or shorted the termination or shorted termination. Okay. Fine. From this, just you need to remember when we try to obtain the value of V maximum and V minimum by using, in the first slide, by using this, by using a load, we get certain values. However, if the same is done by short circuiting the load, the minimum gets shifted either to the right or the left. So when we try to obtain the values of V maximum and V minimum value by using the load, we get some values. However, if the same is done by short circuiting the load, for the second slide, what will happen? The minimum value will get, that value is shifted either to right or to the left. If this shifting is to the left, if that value is shift is to the left, what will happen? It means that the load is inductive. If the value is shifted to left side, it means that the load is inducted. The load is inductive. And if it is the shift is to the right, it means that that load is capacitive in nature. You need to remember. See that is diagram. Outstanding waves of setup 1 and 2. Step 1 and 2. See in the step 1. So what is the, in the step 1 what will happen? When we try to obtain the values of V minimum and V maximum by using load, we get some values in the setup 1. See that. In the setup 2, just you need to remember. If short circuiting the load, the minimum gets shifted either to the left or right. If the shift is to be in the left side, it means that the load is inductive like this. Okay. If the shift is to right, it means that the load is capacitive in nature. If it is in left side, it is in inductive in nature. If it is in right side, it is in capacitive in nature. Okay, this figure explaining that only. Okay, just you need to see the picture clearly or diagram clearly. So by recording the data, an unknown impedance is calculated. After recording these three setups, after recording the data from these three setups, an unknown impedance is calculated. The impedance and reflection coefficient rho can obtain the impedance and reflection coefficient rho can be obtained in both magnitude and phase. Can be obtained in both magnitude and phase. Next, impedance using the reflectometer. Impedance using the reflectometer. See the diagram for that. This one. This is the setup for measuring impedance using reflectometer. See in this, unlike a slotted line, the reflectometer helps. From this diagram, you need to see in the previous diagrams from this. What is the modified block here? See here, what you replaced here? You replaced the started line. Instead of a started line, here you are going to keeping this forward DC and reverse DC 20 decibels. Yes or no? Just you need to observe from past diagrams. See here, microwave source attenuator. Yes or no? See here also microwave source attenuator. After that, here we have slotted line in the microwave bench setup, right? So from that, you need to keep these two. Okay. So unlike the slotted line, the reflectometer helps to find only the magnitude of impedance. The reflectometer helps to find out only the magnitude of impedance and not the phase angle. Not the phase angle. In this method, two directional couplers which are identical but differs in direction are taken. These two couplers are used. These two couplers are used in sampling. In sampling, the incident power Pi and reflected power PR from the load. From the load. The reflectometer is connected. It is used to obtain the magnitude of reflection coefficient rho, from which the impedance can be obtained. From which the impedance value can be obtained. From the reflectometer reading, we have rho is equals to square root of reflected power divided by incident power. Reflectometer reading, we have rho is equals to square root of reflected power divided by incident power. From the value of rho, the VSWR. From the value of rho, the VSWR, that is denoted as S, and the impedance can be calculated by S is equals to 1 plus rho divided by 1 minus rho. Voltage standing wave ratio denotes S. The impedance can be calculated by S is equals to 1 plus rho divided by 1 minus rho. And you need to represent like in this manner also. Z minus Z suffix Z is divided by Z plus Z suffix Z. So ZG is equals to what? Where ZG, Z suffix Z is known, is known wave impedance. Z value is unknown impedance value. Z suffix Z is the known impedance value, known wave impedance value, and Z value, Z is unknown impedance value. Through the forward and reverse wave parameters, from the diagram, we have forward and reverse blocks. So from that parameters are observed here, there will be no interference due to the directional property of the couplers. So we don't have any interference between reverse and forward wave parameters. Why means due to no interference to the directional property of couplers. Therefore, the attenuator helps in maintaining low input power. Therefore, the attenuator helps in maintaining low input power. Maintaining low input power. You need to remember from this slide, the reflectometer reading, rho is equals to square root of P suffix R divided by Pi, reflected power divided by incident power. From the value of rho, what is the VSWR, voltage standing wave ratio? That is S, and the impedance can be calculated by S is equals to 1 plus rho divided by 1 minus rho. So in terms of impedance values means you need to represent like Z minus Z suffix Z is divided by Z plus Z suffix Z. So whereas Z suffix Z is the known impedance, wave known impedance, or known wave impedance, and Z is unknown wave impedance. Through the forward and reverse wave parameters, we observe here that there will be no interference due to the directional property of the coupler. Therefore, the attenuator helps in maintaining low input power. This means that attenuator means power loss. Okay, the ratio of input power to the output power. Yes or no? Next. Next one is measurement of cavity resonator. Measurement of cavity resonator. Just you need to see the diagram. Measurement of a quality factor of cavity resonator. Measurement of quality factor of cavity resonator Q. See from the diagram between attenuator and detector, you need to keep cavity resonator. So remaining everything same as it is. Remaining everything same as it is. There is no change in that. Okay. See from this diagram, through there are three methods such as transmission method, impedance method, and transient decay or decrement method for measuring quality factor of a cavity resonator. If you want to measure quality factor of a cavity resonator, we have there are three methods such as transmission method, impedance method, and transient decay or decrement method for measuring a Q, quality factor of a cavity resonator. First, from this diagram, this is the setup for measurement of a quality factor of a cavity resonator using transmission method. Using transmission method. So in this method, the earliest and most followed method is the transmission method only. Hence, let us need to make a setup like this, like a figure. The cavity resonator acts as, from this figure, the cavity resonator acts as the device that transmits. The device that transmits. The output signal is plotted as a function of frequency which results in a resonant curve which is shown in coming diagram. See, the output signal is plotted like this as a function of frequency which results in a resonant curve like this. So what we have to observe from this diagram? From the setup, from the above setup, the signal frequency of a microwave source, the signal frequency of the microwave source, the signal frequency of the microwave source is varied, keeping the signal level constant, and then the output power is measured. You need to keep the signal level constant. Then you need to note down the output power. Therefore, the cavity resonator is helping for tuning the signal frequency, and the signal level and the power is again noted down to notice the difference. It means that the cavity resonator is tuned to this frequency, and the signal level and output power is again noted down to notice the difference. Notice the difference. When the output is plotted, when the output is plotted, the resonance curve is obtained. The resonance curve is obtained, from which we can notice that the half power bandwidth HPW, sorry, HPBW bandwidth, half power bandwidth HPBW be 2 lambda, that value is 2 lambda. Therefore, that 2 lambda is equal, sorry, 2 delta is equals to 2 delta is equals to plus or minus 1 by QL, half power bandwidth HBW values 2 delta is equals to plus or minus 1 divided by Q suffix L, where QL is, where QL is the loaded value, where QL is the loaded value. QL is equals to QL is equals to plus or minus 1 divided by 2 delta, plus or minus 1 by 2 delta. Just you need to shift this L this side, okay na, QL this side and 2 delta this side. That's it. Then you will get it the QL value. Or else you need to represent like in terms of omega, plus or minus omega divided by 2 into omega minus omega naught, plus or minus omega divided by 2 into omega minus omega naught. If the coupling between the microwave source and the cavity, if the coupling between the microwave source and cavity, as well as the coupling between the detector and the cavity are neglected, if the coupling between the microwave source and the cavity as well as the coupling between the detector and the cavity are going to neglect it, then therefore the loaded value QL is equals to Q naught into unloaded Q. Therefore the QL value, loaded value, is equals to Q naught into unloaded Q value. You need to observe the formulas also. Then coming to drawbacks. The main drawback of this system is that the accuracy is a bit poor in very high Q systems due to narrow band of operation. The main drawback of this system is that the accuracy is a bit poor in very high Q systems due to narrow band of operation. And the next point is, we have covered many types of measurement techniques of different parameters. We have covered many types of measurement techniques of different parameters. Okay, just you need to see all once again. Then we'll go for problems. In this, the measurement of impedance first. So apart from the magic tee, we need to measure the impedance values. Here we have two types of measurements of impedance value. First one is the slotted line and the other one is reflectometer. Coming to slotted line, how to measure the value with the help of slotted line? First condition, step 1, determine that value under applying load ZL. Step 2, determining the V minimum and V maximum values by short circuiting the load. You need to see the diagrammatic representation. This is the impedance measurement using slotted line. Next one is step 2. Impedance measurement using slotted line only. This short circuiting the circuit. There apply the load, unknown load. This load is not known value, unknown value. So because that reason you need to write it here, unknown load. This is the shorted termination here. Okay, after that, so we try to obtain the V maximum and V minimum by using this load, by using the load. Yes or no? By using the load. What is the setup 1 indicates that? Setup 1 indicates that what? To obtain the values of V maximum and V minimum from the setup 1 using a load. We get some V minimum and V maximum values if we are applying some load to setup 1. Next setup 2. From setup 2 what? If the same is done by short circuiting the load, the minimum value will get it. If you are going to shifting that minimum value either to the, let us assume if you are going to shifting that value to the left side, it means that the load is inductive. This setup 1 indicates that only. If we are going to shift to the left, it means that the load is inductive. The setup 1 indicates, setup 2 indicates that only. Coming to the setup 2 only, if the shift is to the right, it means that the load is capacitive in nature. Okay, so that only representing this output standing waves of setup 1 and 2 diagram. After that, what is the next one? Next one is impedance using the reflectometer. So instead of here the slotted line, you need to use the reflectometer, which will be helped to find only the magnitude of impedance and not the phase angle. This will be helps to find only the magnitude of the impedance. So in this method, we have two directional cupulas which are identical but differs in direction are taken. So these two cupulas are used in sampling the incident power Pi and reflector power PR from the load. The reflectometer is connected to, see the diagram, the reflectometer is connected to, this is only this reflectometer. This reflectometer is connected to these two detectors, right? And it is used to obtain the magnitude of reflection coefficient rho, from which impedance can be obtained. So from the reflectometer reading, we have rho is equals to square root of PR divided by PR. From the value of rho and VSWR, that is voltage standing wave ratio, which denotes like S. And then the impedance can be calculated by S is equals to 1 plus rho divided by 1 minus rho. If we are going to representing here coefficient in terms of a known and unknown wave impedance values, means Z minus Z suffix Z divided by Z plus Z suffix Z, which is equals to rho. Through the forward and reverse wave parameters are observed here, there will be no interference due to the directional property of the couplers. Therefore, the attenuator helps in maintaining low input power. Then the next one is measurement of a quality factor of a cavity resonator. So there are three methods such as transmission method, impedance method, and transient decay or decrement method for measuring Q of a cavity resonator. So in the earliest and the most followed method is transmission method only. So which is represented in this figure. In this method, the cavity resonator will act as the device that transmits. The output signal is plotted as the function frequency, as a function of frequency, which results in the resonant curve, which is shown in this figure. From this setup above, the signal frequency of the microwave source is varied, keeping the signal level constant, and then the output power is measured. The cavity resonator is tuned to this frequency, and the signal level and the output power is again noted down to notice the difference. Okay, now we are going to start the problems. Yeah, note down the problems. Yeah, first problem. You need to see the problem. I think screen is visible for all of you. Answer my question, Mr. Shiva.
Yes,
Screen
sir.
is visible for you,
Yes, sir.
Shiva.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. See the first problem. A transmission system using a TE10 mode waveguide of dimensions A is equals to 5 centimeters, B is equals to 3 centimeters, is operating at 10 gigahertz. So Y means which is the microwave signal, because that reason the signal frequency is above 1 gigahertz only. Okay, so the distance measured between two minimum power points is 1 millimeter on a slotted line. Calculate the VSWR of the system. Read out the problem carefully. A transmission system using a TE10 mode waveguide of dimensions a 5 centimeters, B is equals to 3 centimeters, is operating at 10 gigahertz. The distance measured between two minimum power points is 1 millimeter on a slotted line. Calculate the VSWR of the system. First, you need to write down given data, given that what we have from the problem, F value. F is equals to 10 gigahertz. All of you note down the problem. F is equals to 10 gigahertz. A is equals to 5 centimeters, B is equals to 3 centimeters. Yeah, from TE10 mode waveguide. TE10 mode waveguide. Yeah, what is the cutoff frequency? Lambda C. is equals to 2a. The formula for cutoff frequency of TE10 mode is 2a. Substitute the a value 2 into 5, that equals to 10 centimeters. Then next, wavelength lambda naught is equals to C by F. This is the light intensity in the free space, 3 into 10 to the power of 10 divided by F is equals to 10 gigahertz, 10 into 10 to the power of 9. Yeah, therefore what will get it from that? 3 centimeters. Then next one is this, the distance measured between two minimum power points, D2 minus D1 is equals to 1 millimeter. Last class we discussed already. D2 minus D1 is equals to 1 millimeter. That equals to, in terms of centimeters, means 10 to the power of minus 1 centimeter. This means that 0.1 centimeter. Okay. Therefore, we know that lambda g value is equals to, from the yesterday class, is equals to lambda naught divided by 1 minus lambda naught divided by lambda c whole square. That equals to square root 3 by square root of 1 minus 3 divided by 10 whole square. Simplify the expression, then you will get it the 3.144 centimeters lambda g value. Then after that you need to find out for double minimum method VSWR is given by lambda g divided by pi into d2 minus d1. Lambda g value is equals to 3.144 centimeter divided by, substitute the value, pi into 1 into 10 to the power of minus 1. Which means that what will happen? Finally, we will get the value 10.003. 10.003. Which means that this VSWR value is VSWR is less than 10 or greater than 10. Hence, the VSWR value for the given transmission system is 10. Here, which is greater than? Greater than means this is the high power, sorry, high level only. Measurement of high power, which is greater than 10 only, VSWR. Okay. Then the problem number 2. In a step 4, measuring impedance of a reflectometer. In a step 4, measuring impedance of a reflectometer, what is the reflection coefficient when the outputs of two couplers are 2 milliwatts and 0.5 milliwatts respectively? What you need to find out from this? You need to find out impedance of reflectometer. You are going to find out impedance of reflectometer or reflection coefficient. Rho is reflection coefficient. Okay, so you need to find out reflection coefficient. So before finding that, first you need to find out incident power and reflected power. If you want to represent incident power and reflected power means what we have from the problem. First you need to write out given that. What is that? Here we have outputs of two couplers. So one is we have incident one, another one is the reflected one, right? The incident one is 2 milliwatts. This means that Pi divided by 100 is equals to 2 milliwatts, and the second one is PR divided by 100 is equals to 0.5 milli. Substitute the, simplify the expression. Then what we will get it? Pi is equals to 200 milliwatts. PR is equals to 50 milliwatts. Substitute those two values in the reflection coefficient formula. Rho is equals to square root of PR divided by PR. What we will get it from the 0.5. Hence the reflection coefficient rho of the given setup is 0.5. So like that you need to do the problems. Okay.